Welcome to Guitars and Music. I hope you'll consider subscribing. I'm going to review the Electro Harmonix B9 organ machine. It's an organ pedal. It emulates an organ sound. I've already been playing it before I did this. It's kind of a touchy pedal. I think the touchiness of the pedal is not so much in the pedal, but just that you've got to play different. If you just grab a guitar, plug it into this organ pedal, and start playing away, you won't like it because you've got to change how you play, not so much how you set the pedal. You can get some pretty good organ sounds out of it pretty easily. Let's look at this pedal, though. I think it's a good little pedal, and I'll make some comments about it and let you hear a little bit. You know, before we go too much further, I just wanted to share this thought. There are a lot of guitar pedals on the market that emulate great sounds, iconic sounds, create new sounds. Hendrix pedals, David Gilmour pedals, you know, chorus 80s pedals. But this might be, ladies and gentlemen, the first pedal of which I am aware that emulates the all-time classic musical sound of a little old lady with blue hair playing Sweet Hour of Prayer at the local church or funeral parlor. All serious, when I was playing that little Sweet By and By, actually, that hymn, sounds great. The only thing I noticed, and I think this is kind of a legitimate, it's not a criticism, but I think it's the way the pedal is and the way maybe organ is. If I turned it up to play at rock and roll volumes, forget it. It was just total distortion, overtones. So I had to turn it way down. That tells you can't overplay on this pedal, which is true with organ anyway. So again, I think it's a lot like an organ, but I noticed that, and that's why I would recommend trying. I'm not going to do it now, but I would almost think you'd want to play this through a PA, so it just goes into the mains. Because if you're playing in a band, and you're just trying to play along through an amp at rock and roll volume, I think you're going to have problems unless you're just doing really, kind of a diamond, as they say in Nashville, diamond chords. You're going to have problems. I notice it distorts out really easy, and I don't have much distortion on there, and to get any volume at all. It might be that I need a lot more powerful amp or to run it right into a PA. Okay, this is the Electro Harmonix B9. You see it there? There is no pedal company I'm aware of that is more psychedelic and hippie than Electro Harmonix. The B9 organ machine. This is the box. Now B9 organ machine. The guy at Guitar Center, here it is. Let's see. There's the packaging. You know, I really like Electro Harmonix. I think they might be my favorite pedal company. But the thing that always limits me from buying more of their pedals is you always need something like this, or this power cord, or you know, and the pedals are big. I wish they, you know, the Boss makes really good sounding pedals, and I think they're also the shape and the way they're also the same size all the time really makes a big difference. And Electro Harmonix, you just have all these different size pedals. I used to love the Deluxe Memory Man. It was an awesome pedal. I ended up selling it for $150, which I regret because I think it was kind of a collector's item. But the thing was so big, it had a big power adapter, and it had all these knobs on it, and it was cool for playing around at home, but not otherwise. Now, I was told I'd get a sticker if I bought the new one, and yep, you got a sticker. Tuning Soul Electron Tubes. I don't know. I thought I was going to get an Electro Harmonix sticker, but there it is. Let's plug it in and see how she goes. Now we do get inside. We get some directions. Let's see here. We get some directions. I always think if you need too many directions, you bought the wrong pedal, you know? It's like if you buy a nice piano, do you want to get directions with the piano? No, you sit down and play it. If you need directions for a musical instrument, if you want to learn to play the musical instruments, that's one thing, but you should need directions how to turn it on, how to make it sound right. Okay. There we go. Nice looking pedal. Nice looking pedal. Let's see how she sounds. One thing I notice about this is you really get a booming bass and lighter light strings, so it's kind of hard to get. When I kick up the volume, it just cranks. thing I noticed is that the strings are a little uneven. So when you play the high E and B string, it's pretty soft, and you feel like you want to turn the volume up down here. Sounds good, I think. But watch this. When you get around to there, it really... I guess maybe that's like an organ, but... The other thing is you cannot think... you know what? If you play the piano and you just go over to organ, you're not going to be a good organist. You've got to think like an organ player. Or when you go from guitar to playing bass, you've got to think like a bass player. It's a different instrument. It might seem similar, but it's a different instrument. Same here. This is no longer a guitar, it's an organ. And it takes a little getting used to. You cannot overplay. I'm going to try to play a little bit of lead. Let's see what happens here. It sounds pretty good, but you wouldn't want to overdo it, I think. You've really got to kind of pull back. And I missed the distortion, so which is like an organ. That's like an organ. So, you know, if you want a synthesizer, get a synthesizer pedal. If you want a, you know, a David Gilmour type lead, atmospheric lead, get a different sound. This just sounds like an organ, and you play an organ different than a piano. So let's try a little bit. I'll try a little bit of lead, then we'll be done.
Since pioneering the SUV in 1935,
See how thin that sounds? Don't bend the string. I think it's cool. I play with it, and I wouldn't just pick it up and think it's a guitar pedal. Don't just pick it up and play it like it's a guitar pedal and a cool new sound. It's a different instrument, and you've got to think like an organ player. You know, if it's too busy, you can play some lead on it like I just did. You know, I was trying to sort of envision like a Greg Allman type organ solo, but, you know, he doesn't play organ on, you know, he plays some nice organ solos, but they're kind of mixed in, and but he does a lot of that kind of fill stuff. So you can play like. See, the volume is really touchy on this. You need a good volume control. I think this is an example where you want the treble bleed, because you've really got to ride the volume on this bad boy, because I'm like on 2. When I was playing lead, I was all the way up, but that's an organ. And on a guitar, that might sound boring. Sometimes I think that there's something that's not that too responsive. See how it just blasted out? It just... It's very digital. It's on or off. So you need a good control of your volume. We better do it. That upper string, I think it sounds kind of thin, but I can't figure it out. Freebird! I'll tell you, if you want to play Freebird and do it right and you don't have a keyboard player, you can get this. It would do a pretty good job. You wouldn't get the piano. But see, now if you try to go like this, you can't get busy on this thing at all, which is like an organ. That's like an organ, you know. I played piano for years, and I played a lot in churches and ragtime and stuff too. But you know, every once in a while I'll try to switch over to an organ, and it's not just like playing piano songs on an organ. You can't overplay on an organ. You've really got to be smooth, and you have to develop a different touch. And I think that's like this. If you get that pedal, plan on playing with it, and I think it's refreshing. Don't just think about how to set the pedal. That's the easy part. You know, all those settings sound pretty good. What you need to do to make the pedal sound good isn't in the pedal, it's in you. You've got to think like an organ player and learn some different techniques and learn the approach of an organ player. And I think it's complementary. I think you can take some nice solos on that, but I mostly think it would be really actually very cool to have in a live band. It sounds a lot like an organ. You just have to play it like an organ, and somebody has to, you know, think like an organ player, which is, I would say, underplaying. If you play too much on this thing, you'll ruin the effect. Unfortunately, you need a nice pedal board or something that can take those Electro Harmonix pedals. I have a Boss pedal board, and I wish there were one like that Electro Harmonix made that was a little more live music friendly. I feel like with that power adapter and everything, it's not. But I think it's a good pedal. If you buy it, think like an organ player. Don't, you know, get it to sound right, but that should take you a few minutes. But what you really need to do is spend your time thinking about you. Don't worry so much about the pedal. Worry about you. You need to change how you play with this thing, because you're an organ player. You're not a guitar player, and you're not a piano player. You're an organ player, and it's a different instrument. You've just changed this into an organ. Right? It's a serious thing. It's not a toy to mess around with for kind of a cool, different sound. If you really want to use it, you're an organ player, and you need to think like an organ player. Thank you. God bless you. So those are my thoughts. By the way, you see the Sonny and Cher drawing there? That's a drawing I picked up at a flea market. 2007 drawing based on old TV guide. And I'm looking for the name of the artist. Maybe if I forget, Cheryl Sutherland. But anyway, I do like this pedal. I always think Electro Harmonix makes some of the coolest pedals. They've got that hippie vibe. It's kind of psychedelic. It always reminds me of their origins in the early 70s, which I kind of remember. That was very much a trippy dippy time, hippie, and they, you know, their pedals are cool. They've got some good sounds. I always think they're not as friendly for live playing, at least the way I play live. But this is another example. It's a good pedal. My final thoughts, which I think I've said a couple times in this video, is if you buy this, your problem isn't going to be making it work right. It's going to be making you work right, because you'll get an organ sound out of it pretty easily. Mess with it a few minutes, and you'll find some organ sounds that are pretty good. What you've got to do then to make it work right is change how you play, because playing an organ is very different than playing a guitar or a piano. It's very, you can't overplay. You hit a note and it rings out like a nice chord, and you've just got to let it ring to fill those spaces in. You're like the glue that goes into all the nooks and crannies of a band. If you're playing the organ, a good organ player just kind of oozes into everything. It's one of the coolest instruments in rock and roll, and often underappreciated, I've always thought. This does that, so I do recommend it. I think if you're a guitar player and you have a band, it would be a very cool pedal if you have someone that can work it well. Again, it's you need someone that understands the organ and what it does, not so much someone that knows how to twist the knobs. You need someone that knows how to play it and make it sound like an organ. I think it's a good pedal. I do recommend it. It was $225. I think I saw one used for about 175, and I ended up buying the new one because I wanted the box and I got a sticker in it. The sticker wasn't an Electro Harmonix sticker though. I was kind of half hacked off. I thought I'd get a nice Electro Harmonix sticker, and I didn't. What are you gonna do? But I do recommend the pedal. I think it's a good pedal, and I think you should pick it up if you want an organ. I don't think it's a toy. I mean, if you're just looking for kind of a toy, sometimes I think these pedals are kind of like grown-up toys, and you see everyone what kind of cool sounds they can get. It's not a toy. It's a tool for live music. And if you're going to get it, you need to realize, well, I'm going to play it like an organ. There's some things, frankly, that no matter how good the pedal sounds like an organ and how smart you are and how well you can make your guitar kind of imitate an organ, they are different instruments at the end of the day. And, you've got to, playing some things is going to be hard on this thing that you could play on an organ. But I think if you can think like an organ player, it's a tool. It's not a toy. It's a tool. And it's not hard. I think, you play a G chord, it sounds awesome, really. But you just have to have someone that can pull back, really. It's almost underplay. And then you'll have a good organ sound. Thank you. God bless you. I hope you'll consider subscribing.